exposed to new things. Whether he takes it up or not, it's next step. But at least he might get an idea of what all are available opportunities, and from where what can help him, he can pick them up.
Yeah. Yeah, so I wanted to begin with maybe our own definition of resistance. What are our thoughts? How do we look at resistance as a, um, say, as a person or as a facilitator? I really don't know. How do we look at it, resistance? It's good, it's bad, it needs to be done, it needs to be received, it needs to be experienced.
To me, like resistance is like a state of mind. So I resist because I'm probably not happy with exploring something new. Something is blocking my mind from trying something different. Probably it is due to fear, fear of the unknown, or fear of failure, or it can also be the comfort.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it means anybody can share.
Aditi, if I had to define resistance in my perspective, I would say that anything which is not happening according to my wishes, as in my wants or the way I want it, so that could be a resistance to me.
Mm-hmm. Any more thoughts? What does the resistance means?
It, of course, all that others are saying, fear of unknown, comfort, and also can be self-judgment, not sure, uh, maybe helpless.
Child is helpless or we are
Yeah,
helpless?
anybody who is resistant.
Ah, okay. He's helpless. Okay.
Or, I mean, rather than helpless, I maybe somewhere not aware that I'm stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it can be in different ways, right? That if I decide to resist something, uh, for to uh, look at myself, or to just check myself, maybe that I decide to resist for maybe sweets. Yeah. So um, if I can, have control on my senses, or yeah, my desires. So I don't think it is always from outside, or like unwanted thing. It is
Mm-hmm.
from, it can come from my desire as well, or my wish as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. If anybody has anything else to add, please add, or else we can move ahead. I'll just grab a
Yeah, so
bottle of water for myself.
resistance for me would also be that my heart doesn't want to do something, and if I'm forced, or forced to do something, then I would resist and I would not want to get into it.
So I have a Nitya here. I have a slightly different take on that. Resistance could also be a part of a brain condition. So I'm not saying it in a scary way. It could just be rigidity, which the child's brain has. And then do we just leave it like that? Like, for example, one of my children works on one particular task for about 7 hours a day, which is like maybe recording something and so on, but then is not willing to expand or even explore, forget expand, even explore or step out. So should I just watch and keep pumping into that one hobby that the child has? Or should I try like what Jayashree is doing, try and explore and try and expand? So what I have found is to first of all read up on rigidity, because rigidity can have different root causes. It could be anxiety, it could be a comfort zone, it could be a flow state. So read up on that. So first educate myself and then approach the child with what I have read and then say that this is what rigidity is about. What do you think? So discuss rigidity. Don't discuss other passions, other hobbies first. Explore this whole topic of rigidity itself to begin with. And both of us actually learned together on that. It took several months for us. And then we realized that one of the ways out was identify the child's need. In fact, that same child came back and said, kids in the playground know more than me. I don't seem to know much about science, social. I seem to know only about this one hobby that I love, but I want to know more. So when the child expressed that need, we took it along with the rigidity factor and we said, hey, no offense, okay, you do have a rigid mind. How are we going to balance your need with your rigid mind? So what we decided, what worked for us was NCRT textbooks. I'm not saying that is a prescription. NCRT textbooks, and then the child says now that mama, just sit with me for the first 10 minutes or 15 minutes. There is a difficulty with switching tasks basically. So when the child is doing her favorite hobby, for her to come out and then attend to something else takes an enormous amount of energy. So we both struggle through that initial 10-15 minutes, and then the child enters flow state in this area of need, which is, she wants to be up to date in science, social, and so on. I have been trying to do science social earlier, but it never came up as a need. So after I joined Arohi, I was like, let me just wait. I'm not going to push the need. Is it clear what I was?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now that the child has expressed the need, we also have the constraint of a rigid mind. So we both work towards the solution, given the constraint and given the goal. And it's been going well. We've done about 9 lessons in about 2-3 months. There again, I go with her rigidity. Like she doesn't want to read, I will not force. She wants to draw out all her answers, no problem. Shall we stick with this curriculum because the other kids on the playground are following this? Yes, Mama, I want to stick with it, but I don't want to write. No problem.
I think today we'll stick with this whole response on understanding the resistance. Maybe we can take further as we move ahead. Yeah, so if I say to all of us that resistance is none of these, so that's why I've crossed it. Then how we will redefine the resistance. I'm saying whatever you are saying is not resistance.
Can you say avoiding?
That is all I'd add in this list.
That list only.
Trust issue, is it? Trust, is it?
Let me put this also.
You're going to add anything we say into this.
Sorry, I'm on a resistant drive right now. Okay, if I say whatever is coming in our mind as a, I'm also simultaneously trying to find a one example which is quite interesting, which I'll read it out as you were talking about it. If I say resistance is none of these, resistance is just a response. And if I tell you, just keep it as a pure response, then how does this changes anything or it just stays? So something happens and then your brain is brainwashed. You have no experience of prior experience of understanding resistance. All you know is the resistance is just a response.
Yeah, so it is situational.
I feel actually very relieved because just like when the child cries or upset or angry, so just I feel it's just another, I guess, saying response, just another way of. Um, so then I don't resist the resistance. Otherwise, now my resistance is taken care. Otherwise, I'm resisting their resistance. So this gives me a little.
It becomes neutral.
What way? What does this neutral definition you would like to define?
No, no, I don't want to define
No,
it
I will not cross it.
specifically.
I promise. I will
Not
not
even crossing it. I don't know. That's the first word that came to my mind. It's very
Actually,
neutral.
being very careful.
No, I will not cross it. I've just done one crossing. And now I'm open. See, I brainwashed myself also. So I'm not on resistance drive anymore.
Like neutral gear in the car. It's not neither taking you forward nor behind.
अच्छा उसमें गाड़ी अटक जाएगी
अटकेगी नहीं, वो रेडी है आगे जाने के लिए या पीछे.
Observation, not judgment, when you say response.
Okay. Yeah, so what I'm trying to bring it is that what if we don't have any of these belief that even the definition of resistance, that child is resistance because has fear or maybe not wanting to do anything new, or has anxiety, or helpless, or none of these thoughts I have. I'm just meeting a brand new child who responded to me that I don't want to do this right now, or maybe in future, or maybe for my whole life. I don't want to do this, or I don't need this. Yeah. So I'm saying it's just a response which the child has given. Now, how do we want to, first of all, how do we want to look at it, that response?
Accept.
That I saw. Thanks.
I do agree with you, Aditi. Like we can't wish away anxiety or other things in a
Right now,
child as much as we wish it wasn't there.
yeah. Right now, I'm not even wishing. I'm not saying the child has anxiety or child doesn't have anxiety. What I'm saying is, I'm just asking you that if you think it's just a response, you have no prior knowledge of anxiety or even definition of anxiety, you have no prior experience of your own understanding about resistance, something called resistance. All you know is that the child is saying at this moment that I don't want to do it. That's all. And I don't think it's important. I don't think whatever.
That would be like denying a ramp to a person who can't walk, right? Or
Yeah.
denying
All
wheelchair.
those, I think I'm saying all those intellectual things can be discussed little later. But at this moment, I'm saying that what will happen if you think that this is just a response? That's all.
What comes to me is I don't have to do anything right now. Immediately, there's nothing I have to do, is what comes to me. When it's a response,
But the child is responding that I don't want to do it.
yeah, I just get it. I just acknowledge it and I just get it like any other response.
What is that any other response? Suppose if the child say, I want to eat something, then you will just say do nothing, you will give something, right?
First is say, okay, you want to eat. First response is okay. That's, I mean, first response I'm talking about, not doing.
Yeah.
response is okay, you want
Ah.
to eat.
Hmm.
And probably then say, okay, if there's something, do I have to do anything or the child can do something, I will little be with it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm more talking about the first response here right now.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So you're there with the thought of eating right now. Yeah.
Right now I'm just there with the thought that, okay, as you said, the minute you said it's a response, I
Hmm.
mean, for me, it shifted the perspective that, okay, right now, if it's a response, like Smriti so many times gets angry, then, okay, you are angry right now. That's all. I don't have to do anything about it immediately. Probably once things are settled, I can do something, talk something, I don't know, later part, but right now, I don't have to.
Or
That's what-
maybe, yeah, maybe if I add, Sunita, that if I little tweak what you're saying, that I don't have to do anything means I don't have to operate from my own beliefs about the anxiety, anger, fear, and all those things. As Roshni says, neutral.
Yeah, correct. So right now, there's nothing for me to do about it, think about it, get worried about it, or
Yeah,
try to fix it.
because I don't get worried when the child says I want to eat something.
Yes. I'm not trying to fix anything here. That's what I get to.
Yeah.
I get-
So when a child says I want to eat something, I'm not trying to fix anything. When the child says I don't want to do anything, I'm still not trying to fix anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about our frame of mind. I'm not talking about what's the next step. Next step is yet to come. Yeah. What I'm talking about is that at this moment, what frame of mind we are when we are receiving a no from the child. Yeah. I'm not even calling a resistance. I'm just saying, child is saying, I don't think I need to do this. I don't need this. I don't want to do this right now. So then what will happen if we just take it that as a response? That is just a response.
Hello, yeah, I'm audible.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
I feel that the moment I take it in the form that it is just a response, I am more ready to accept it. I'm
But-
more absorbing, like my absorption power becomes very high.
But what will you accept and what will you absorb?
Means whatever is the response at this point in time, means whether it is a no or a yes or whichever way the child is behaving, I'll accept it with sort of grace instead of me further resisting on it.
Okay.
I feel that it's still some, sorry, I don't know any other word, but it's still some sugar coated words we parents use, but it's not possible in that way. Somewhere I feel once I am out of stress, my actions are different. I think that's where I am coming to, rather than even acceptance or absorption or whatever even there. I'm just saying that my insight turmoil is taken care.
Yeah, even I feel the same, that how am I feeling at that point in time? I will respond that way, like that's
Yeah. Yeah, I think what I want to share is that I'm not talking about what we will do after that. That's why I said, Nitya, maybe what you are doing after that is can be the next step, but we need to
okay.
sit back this whole understanding about my response on something, especially when there are so-called say means I will say both responses, so-called positive as well as negative responses. Yeah. um, uh, it's like we say, if the child is um, um, in fact, I was having we were having a discussion with footballers, and Ratnesh asked a question to them. So, how are you feeling? Are you happy, satisfied? And all three of them said, "We are very satisfied." Something like that. They said. And then Ratnesh gave a half an hour lecture on that, why you should not be satisfied. So the point which I'm trying to bring is that both ways it stops us from doing things further. Yeah. So I want to read out this this little example.
Aditi, the balance of satisfaction and dissatisfaction, that's what you meant.
Balance.
Is that so? Is that so?
No, what I'm saying is both the words are neutral. You know, I don't
Okay,
need
got
to,
it.
yeah, I don't need to rejoin. I'm not saying it's a whatever. What I'm saying is, can I train myself? That's what the word, I didn't cut what Rajni said is the neutral. It didn't go in that. So, and I think that neutralness need a questioning from our sides. Because it's like whatever the beliefs we have written about the resistance are like a varnish coat. Yeah. So that they make a varnish coat on my mind, and that that doesn't allow me to now think beyond. Yeah. If a child is resisting, and if I think that I know the child already, and the child has fear, child has anxiety, child has conditioning, child has rigidity, child has been responding, a child has some blocking, child has fear of unknown, child wants to stay in the comfort zone, then all my responses are to fix that belief of myself. Yeah. My conversation also will be with the child on that part only. You're staying in the comfort zone and now you don't want to go out of it. You are not willingness to expand. Your brain is conditioned like that. You have the rigidity. You are helpless. You are stuck. That's why you're doing all this. You have fear of unknown and you're not trying out new things. You have the blockage of the something, knowing about new things, and then you're not. So what am I doing? I'm telling child that how horrible you are, or how horrible this whole thing about resistance is. Now the child might TK, yaar, let me just come out of it. Or child might say, let me just stay with it.
That's exactly what happened last night.
Exactly, that happens almost every other day.
Yeah, so what Jayashree is saying, how practical it is to be neutral, I will say, yeah, I think that's what I wanted to bring the tool of that how our training, we are talking about the part of the brain which is conditioned and which is rigidity. I will say part of our brain is which is conditioned and which is rigid about the some responses about something. Yeah. So I'm not right now talking about the fixing the child, because the children had not come to the SWARK club. We are talking about fixing our, and the fixing cannot happen just by wishing. And that's what we were, in fact, today we were talking some response we were discussing with Ratnesh, with Drupad, is that things doesn't happen just by willingness. Yeah, it happens by understanding. So let me, if you guys allow me, 32. Yeah, I'll read out this example, and then it will open up few more I would say avenues. Maybe it may open up, maybe it may not open up. This example, we have read it earlier also in the beginning of our book reading session, but then I think that time we were not looking at from this window, and we were still caught up with our anxiety of some of the responses of our children. So let's see how this goes this time. Yeah. So this comes from Lev Vygotsky. And Vygotsky, somewhere Jayashree also mentioned about the comfort zone, challenging zone, and there's third zone which Vygotsky talks about is the frustration zone. So we may not talk about these zones right now, but the point which I wanted to bring is that how observation helps, yeah, and how our neutral mind helps. So I'll just read it out. Here is an example of a teacher focusing on the ZPD. The ZPD, he says, is the zone of proximal development. We can talk about it some other time. How both the teachers and child peers quietly, literally, Vygotsky talks a lot about scaffolding. Yeah. And I will say this scaffolding is possible when we are out of these beliefs about any response which the child is giving. Literally scaffolded her learning and growth. I once visited a class whose project focus was on building building. Sorry. The children had talked about construction, looked at books about building, practiced using tools at woodworking bench, and visited construction sites. After much research, the children drew up their own blueprints for a playhouse in their yard. The day I visited, they were working on roofing. I observed as the children, with help from their teachers, climbed onto scaffolding and began to hammer shingles onto the roof. One little girl, Margaret, lingered around the construction site. She wanted to hammer nails. Judy, her teacher, said, "We are roofing today. If you would like to help, I can help you climb onto the scaffolding." Um, if you are able to follow me, maybe you can give thumbs up. If you need me to pause, maybe you can ask me. But till now, what is the whatever is the reference I'm talking about? Margaret, the child, said, "No, I just want to hammer nails." Judy was firm. When you go back inside, you can use the woodworking bench if you like. Right now, we are roofing.
ಆದ್ರೂ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಬಿದ್ದಿರ್ತಾನೆ. ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಅವನಿಗೇನು ಹೆಂಗೋ ನಾವಿಬ್ರು ಇದ್ದೀವಿ, ನಾಷ್ಟ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊತೀವಿ, ಹೆಂಗೋ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊತೀವಿ.
Leelaji, we need you mute. Hey, Leela, I'm not able to mute you, dear. Sorry for this. Judy was firm. Sorry, yeah. Right now we are roofing. If you want to help, there are many other choices. I was troubled. This Lev Vygotsky, who was observing this whole thing, he's saying, I was troubled by this. My own training made me question this teacher's approach. It seemed right to me. I thought, why can't Judy just give the child a piece of wood, a hammer, and some nails? She could sit near the building project and hammer her nails. My initial response was to compare the teacher's words. If you want to hammer, climb up the scaffolding and do some roofing, to instructions from teacher in days of old who told the kids to draw a tree and add it, color the leaves green, the trunk brown, and the sky blue. I didn't get it. I continued to watch the roofers as they hammered away. Now and then, Judy dropped a comment such as, "Yesterday, Peter was afraid to climb up to the scaffolding. He thought he could not hold on and hammer too." Margaret didn't budge from her spot. Though there were many interesting choices available in the yard, she continued to watch the roofers. Judy continued to watch her. When Ashanti first climbed up to the worked on the roof, she just watched for a while because she was so scared being up high that she couldn't concentrate on hammering too. Judy said quietly after a while, "I noticed that Margaret's initial whining and tearfulness at being prevented from hammering had stopped. She was now very attentive to the roofers who received periodic encouragement from their teacher. "You're getting many shingles hammered in," Judy said. Margaret watched. "I wonder," Judy finally said, "if Ashanti would hold your hand for a while to help you get used to being up high, then maybe tomorrow you would feel like hammering too." At this comment, Ashanti joined in. "Come on, Margaret, I'll hold your hand. I was scared too before." Margaret stood up. Judy offered her assistance as Margaret climbed up the scaffolding. Ashanti held her hand once she got up. The look on her face changed from the sad, tentative, displeased expression she had worn all morning to one of utter triumph. Overwhelmed by her accomplishment, Margaret's sense of competence exploded. "Give me some nails," she shouted joyfully. Margaret hammered her first shingles. Judy smiled. "A job well done," she said. Vygotsky saying, "I learned a lot that day. I realized had I been Margaret's teacher, she would have spent her morning happily on the edges of the building project. I would have given her some nails, a board, and a hammer. She would have been content to spend her time doing something she was comfortable with without risking any new learning. At the end of the day, child would have gone home much as she arrived in the morning. Judy, the teacher, however, sent home someone who had triumphed over fear, someone who had increased her skills and competence, which led to an increase in self esteem. She had carefully observed her student and accurately judged that she was ready to take a leap with a little help. This is what Vygotsky meant by scaffolding. The skill of climbing the scaffold and hammering in the nail was within Margaret's ZPD. It's important to recognize that using Vygotsky's ZPD requires careful observation of children and good judgment about how best to support their learning. Judy knew that Margaret was capable of doing the climbing and roofing. She knew that Margaret was afraid of being up high. She knew that Margaret would not choose to climb the scaffolding without help. All of this observation and the resulting knowledge of the individual child is crucial to the successful scaffolding we see in this story. Without knowing each child well and taking the time for careful observation and reflection before making the move to urge a child further, teachers can make serious mistakes. So he also shares another example where he pushed a child to do a painting without understanding the child, I mean, messing up the hands in the paint without understanding that the child comes from a background where child was not so used to of this, and then child threw up all the tantrums, and the cheat and the Vygotsky said that I learned my lesson, that I would have understood the child's cultural background, and then he goes on about talking about that. uh, yeah. So yeah, the example have a lot of many other things only than talking about what we are talking about, the response. But let's hear what are you thinking right now about, maybe not about the example, but maybe about this whole concept of my role to 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 move from comfort zone to, say, challenging zone. Did I make everybody sleep?
Again, here they are talking observation, good observation, and good judgment. And I think Jayashree's question, and my question also, like, what is a good judgment? Like, how can
Yeah,
we decide
yeah,
that
yeah.
good?
Yeah, I think he's not talking about good. He's saying carefully observed and accurately judged. Yeah, and then he's also talking about that when these judgments or whatever our observation is not in place, we also make serious mistakes. So we move between both the things. So yeah, so as you said, there is no definition of. He's not. I don't know whether some. Yeah, he's using good judgment about how best to support their learning. Yeah.
I think somewhere they're talking about not making conclusions about any child or anybody. Maybe just little understand where the thought comes from, or what maybe what, like in both the one of the example, like painting was messy, or the other example maybe the child was little taking time to climb the tree. So not conclude that okay, the child is asking, let me just give, like Vygotsky was saying. Um, so probably what I understand is accurate judgment, maybe not going to conclusion immediately, just little be with it and just understand where it comes from, and then probably we can. And it's not easy, of course, because we are very much in a hurry to fix most of the times. So I think it takes a lot of trial and errors before we reach somewhere there.
One takeaway for me is uh, maybe in one situation the kid is saying or resisting because of fear and blocking, if that is my observation. I should be consciously avoiding that observation uh, affecting any other situation, like if it is in any other situation and still the kid is resisting, I should not say, okay, the kid has a habit of resisting because of fear or some blocking, or I think that is where I have to work on my
Yeah, I think so. So Nandini, what I'm hearing is that if I'm going by my fixed definition of the resistance, then the chances are that I will only operate from that in every situation.
yeah. Yes, and observation we can't stop, and we should not stop also. And part of observation is judgment.
Mm.
And judgment comes, and that judgment is needed to whether to move forward or backward or
Backward, yeah,
whatever it is.
or to stop at this moment,
Yeah.
or to bring it
Uh,
some other time, or yeah.
Yeah, maybe in this situation, I might judge like, okay, he has a fear, that's why, or he doesn't want to do this right now. That observation. In any other situation, if it comes across the same thing like resistance, I should not say, okay, this kid always does like this, so now also he's resisting because
So
of
maybe
fear or
that
something.
situation might be a different definition.
Yes,
And in that situation, if I have any other observation, then I can operate from that observation.
yeah, that is where Roshni's neutral comes. I should be neutral in every situation and ready to move forward, and not bagged with.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the point which I wanted to bring is that um, 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 yeah, I think it's good what Jayashree you shared in the Slack is good sharing, because now that you have shared it, now you say I want to erase everything what I have written, because I've just taken it out. It's like vomit which comes out of our body, and then it's no more, it's there inside, right? So I think that first, as you were asking, is it practical to be neutral? Yeah. So the first I have just taken it out. Now I'm fresh. Now I want to think in this situation, um, what is that I want to do now? Do I want to be with the child as Judy was doing, keep inviting the child, keep be firm, as somewhere Vygotsky says, but the teacher was firm. Yeah. Now I can be neutral on, if you see in this example, child initially is crying, whining, no, I want only that shingle and I want only that hammer. But the teacher knew what she wants to offer to the child, what the experience she wanted to create for the child. In fact, I had similar experience with Advay when he was, say, 5 or 6 year old, and then we had a good conversation. Maybe I'll share the blog with some of you. So even my whole image about if the child is crying and responding, if the child is say the words which we use, the sulking and responding, the child is responding the same, like I think somewhere Jayashree also mentioned that sometime our questioning become very monotonous and the child is responding. I will say just the child is just responding that, I predict that this is how, when I write, this is how this person will do it. Yeah. So I will say these are just an expression, and if you ask me, we don't need to do anything with those expression. What we need to do is we just need to go move ahead. Yeah, and move ahead in many different way, and that's where I say it's the play. With the same child, you can't do the same thing in a different situation in the same way. Or sometime, because what Jayashree has put in the Slack is a lot of thoughts. One, you're talking about this whole concept of resistance, then you're talking about new exposure, then you're talking about the different zones: comfort, challenging, frustration zone. Then you're talking about the child making images about a certain things. It can be about a person, it can be about an approach, it can be about a kind of work with the child has made his or her image. Then how do I work with the child on that? So there are a lot of mix of lot of different things which you have brought out very nicely. And um, so I just wanted to begin with this food for thought for all of us, that um, uh, what happens when I don't operate from my definition of something, and then I create a new definition along with the child. It allows me to now take action. Yeah, when I'm not operating from these beliefs about whatever my definition at this moment is, the resistance. It can be emotion, it can be anger, it can be maybe laziness. I really don't know. So I might have my own definition about the various things. And then when I remove that and then I move ahead, it allows me to do a lot of different things. I might be doing the same thing, but then I might be doing the same thing from a different window, and that's how it works. Yeah, Jayashree has put up, I think, Sunita, in a parent channel where I put up that today's work club, this is what we will talk about. Yeah, so I think we have last 5 minutes. Vimal has already said hi here. I guess they have a next session. So let's hear what each one of us are thinking right now.
I would say I've got really lot of inputs from today's session. I'd like probably take up removing the label of resistance and just call it a response and see how it works. I want to like try it out the way I think. So that should bring about some difference.
I feel very relieved as I shared. I think I'll share how was it this week when I am seeing it as response. But yeah, I feel already much relieved with this just knowing that resistance is a response. So then, because for me, I start resisting the resistance, and that becomes really a big thing for me. Then I start wondering, what is this? The same thing as you said, I've labeled Skanda that, okay, you are behaving like you know it all now. You're resisting what others are saying. You're not ready to receive, etc., etc. So that's where I'm one is I'm fixing, one I'm labeling, one I'm making the child also believe all this is true. So yeah, I feel much relieved in taking this take.
Yeah. Anybody else? What are you thinking right now? And as such, there is no closing to anything. It's just moving ahead with our different observations. So and the experiments, or I will not even say experiments, and explorations. Yeah, Rekha, are you trying to say something?
Yeah.
We will be, yeah.
I'm putting my thoughts together. There are lots of things happening at this point. One, this thing is me seeing the resistance as just a response gives me much more freedom to do a lot more things. And seeing that, as Sunita told, I have labeled and all, right? I am doing that right now. Just before this session, we were having a talk about very similar to this, and I was giving my gyan to both the kids. So it gives me, of course, I'll share the whole scene that happened just before the session started. And the thoughts after this session for me at this point, I'll share it in Slack because I'm not able to get
Sure.
to
Yeah. And
Thank you.
I think I just want to acknowledge, Jashi, I think writing that in detail in Slack was really helpful. Because then we understand where are you coming from, and how. In fact, I just read it 5 minutes before the session started, but it was very helpful to understand your needs and then to be able to accommodate that in the session. So it was quite a beautiful read, which I think you shared, and I guess Rekha or somebody else shared. So that was quite helpful. And with